Good morning. My name is Brian Snyder. I am the founder of Your Body Never Lies, which is a body language training system. We teach ourselves, we teach our internal body language. We teach to, let's see, good morning. I'm having my cup of coffee here, so put this in a good way. Your body never lies gives you the information you need to shift your internal body language. And by internal body language, I mean that voice in your head. And specifically the critical dialogue or the critical monologue that is always trying to correct your behavior or correct you in some way. Um, or, it could be a voice that criticizes you or criticizes others or yeah, in whatever it is for you, our internal voice is a huge distraction from the joy of life. And because it sucks our attention, it sucks our attention away from the right here, right now. It's actually pretty amazing. And let's see, don't know if we have anybody here with us yet today. So I don't have a topic because I always just sort of hope for a question. So maybe we should talk about the present moment, because that's at the end of the day, being present is what it's all about. And there are plenty of teachers who say to be here now, and um, the concept has been around for thousands of years. It's been put in different ways and sometimes hidden, and it was brought forward by um, a teacher by the name of Bhagavan Das here in the West, I think in the 60s or 70s. Picked up by Ram Dass, also a Western teacher, and really picked up by everybody here in the West because it's true. Be here now. And let's just dissect that for a moment. So, the word be, the phrase isn't do here now, right? It's be here now. Being and doing are two very distinct activities. And I'll dissect that in a minute too. So it's being, not doing. And when we're being versus when we're doing are two different activities. And being doesn't necessarily have to be an activity, but it can be, while doing is always an activity. But I'm still going to get into I want to dissect that more. So here means where you are. It doesn't mean over there. It doesn't mean where you're thinking about or where you think you are. It means here. And for most of us, here means where we can reach. So it also means what you can perceive with your senses. So here, if you're seeing a billboard a quarter of a mile away and you're getting that information, that is part of your here. Now refers to time, right? The phrase is now. It's not then. It's not in the future or in the past. It's in this present moment. The word now is actually a bit of a sabotage, but for other reasons it works here. When we say the word now, we're actually pointing to something that's already happened. The word now, as a mathematical concept, does not work. And this might be a bit nuanced, but it's good to get, because if you're looking to be here now, you need to understand that you can't look at now. You can't point at it and go, oh, there's now. I should have been there. You can't do that. It doesn't work. So being here now, now is not a location that can be measured and compared. And the word now implies a measuring and comparing. So, because it's like now versus then, or now versus 2:00 or whatever. But it doesn't mean we can't use it. It just means you need to be aware of that sabotage so that you don't get sucked into it, so that the word now there refers to a concept of being at the leading edge of the present moment. And it doesn't refer to a particular location or place in time, because that particular location or place in time is constantly shifting and moving forward. um, so I'll just dissect the being and here and now in backwards order. Now, now encompasses not only what you experience as happening in the moment, because there's the experience of now and then there's actual now. And knowing that there's a difference helps us upgrade our experience of now. So wherever you are in the present moment, and you can be, the most present you've ever been, and that right there is your experience of present time. And as far as you can get into present time is generally how positive and joyful about life you are. I am anyway. That place, it's where we find ourselves when, like you run a marathon and you win the race and there's this buzzing and colors are popping and you just notice everything and you hear sounds that you've never heard before and it feels like the whole world is changing. That's the present moment. That's like an excited experience of the present moment. But time happens before that. So time is unfolding and then we take it in and experience it. And where that leading edge is, it's further ahead than we can generally perceive. And even if we are completely being here now, being here now in the truest sense of the word means there's no thought, because thoughts are always in the past. Being here now means feeling. And the experience of now is a feeling. We can't think about it. If you tell yourself, oh, this is the present moment, you've just lost because thinking is always in the past. We can't think about what's actually going on. We can only think about what already happened. So to make sure that you're actually now, just check in and see if you have any thoughts. And if you're asking yourself with a thought, do I have any thoughts? That's a thought, you're no longer present. Duh. So it's about checking in with body sensations, and emotions might be a stretch, but it's feelings. It's how it feels in your body. Am I present? What do I feel in my body? Now, the leading edge of now is like, if we have a body, which we all do, right? You're watching this video, you have a body. Your body is like a train. And time moves forward, there's like a train track in front of this train. And when you are meditating and completely present and only feeling your body and noticing what's going on in your present environment and not thinking about it, you're just taking it in. That is like being on the locomotive. You're driving this train car. And you can do this whether you're sitting in a quiet room in the dark or walking around downtown in a crowded in a crowded space with a bunch of people with your eyes open. Meditation does not require practice of meditation requires maybe sitting alone and quiet in a quiet space to get there, but actual meditation does not require that. So when you're done practicing and you actually want to do or be meditation, you go out in public, and if you are fully present, then you can really drive this train car and take control of what direction your life is going. You get greater access to intuition, and your imagination is able to manifest much quicker. And you basically just become a lot more positive. That's the joy of being here now. If you have thoughts, being here now still has benefit because your thoughts can be about your present moment, your present environment. That's a great place to be. But being there and thinking that you're in the present moment, that's different than actually being in the present moment. The actual present moment happens before we experience it. So when we say the word now, we're talking about the past. So that whole little talk was just to understand that the concept of now is a concept that is a body sensation. It's not a thought. Here is within your personal space, within your present environment. And for most of us, that's how far we reach with our hands. If you close your eyes and imagine how big your personal space is, for most of us, it's, well, as far as I can reach in any direction. It's like a bubble around our body. And that is here. Now, you can expand that, you can contract that. But, you know, the world and life can expand it and contract it for you if you are not in that front train car. So if we're thinking, we're back a train car or two. And if you're stuck thinking and depressed and like stuck in bed and can't get out of bed because the whole world sucks, you're probably in the caboose and you're getting just dragged forward. And the solution, from my perspective, from a body language perspective, is to shift the inner dialogue that's creating the stuckness. And that's what we do. So moving from the caboose, moving from the caboose to the front train is a lot easier than confronting whatever we think we're depressed about. And walking to the front of the train, to the locomotive, that's one way to think of it. And I think of it that way because, I firmly believe that you can be on the front of the locomotive leaning out, like on the front of a ship, and watch the train tracks get laid. And obviously it's all just a metaphor. A better metaphor for understanding what the phrase being here now means is that it means to leave the world of thought and to enter the world of sensation. And doing that is a chasm. There's a chasm to cross. And I love movies. So Indiana Jones, the first one, Raiders of the Lost Ark, when he has to cross the chasm, it's a huge, he's at the edge of a cliff, and then there's the other cliff side, and then there's this huge chasm that's like goes down to infinity, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, he has to walk across it. That is a great metaphor for being here now, because if you are distracted by life in some way, if you're thinking about something you did or thinking about something someone did to you, or thinking about what happened yesterday, or thinking about what you're going to do tomorrow in the next 5 minutes, or what you're going to have for lunch, all of these thoughts are distracting you from what's going on in your present environment. And most of us, our wheels are spinning because we are doing. And, most of us were trained to do here now. We're trained that our value is based on doing. That may be part of capitalism, it may be part of Western culture, it may just be part of being human. But when we believe that our value is based on what we do, then it's very easy to get caught up in, well, what should I be doing? And it's also easy to fall into the trap of believing that our self-worth is wrapped up in what we do, because if you have a job, that's what you're paid for, right? I mean, you're paid for what you do. So right there, that's evidence that your value comes from what you do. But evidence is ever dense. You've got to watch out to not just trust things in your past. Your value is really based on who you are, who you be, who you are being. People don't love you for what you do for them. People love you for who you are. And, if you're doing things for people so that they love you, stop. And you need to find out if they love you anyway, or if they're just pretending to love you because you're doing things for them. But and here's what we're talking about, the chasm. Like, to suddenly stop doing things for people in exchange for affection, that's like standing on the edge of a cliff, right? Because, what what happens? What happens when all of a sudden people don't like this new change? And some people won't. That is literally like looking over the chasm, and that is a chasm that is very difficult to look at. So there's no wonder that most of us are not being here now. Most of us are busy thinking about what we think is going on now and then reacting or responding in a way to cope with it. And that just snowballs. We literally can think ourselves into a paper bag, or into a dark room bed and pull the covers over our head. That is a thinking process. However, if we stay present and feel life and sense life, that never happens because we never get wrapped up in what we think stuff means. And what we think stuff means is always nonsense. Like, life is about living and enjoying and growing and learning to love each other and to love being ourselves. It's not about accumulating money. It's not about accumulating, chits or gold stars for being a good person or whatever thought process you may have going on. That can never lead anyone to the true joy of life. The true joy of life happens right here, right now, when we co-create it. And co-create it with the people we're interacting with and co-create it with the universe. We become part of this whole. So a big part of our inner dialogue, or the reason for our inner dialogue, is that we feel separate from the universe. We feel like we're somehow different than everybody else, or we're like an island in an ocean. That feeling of separation, it's based on a lie. Feeling is real. I mean, all feelings are real. But some feelings aren't based in the truth. So if you get mad at somebody because you heard a rumor that they said something nasty about you, right? You can feel hurt, and that's very real. You are hurt. But then if you find out that what you heard wasn't true, that no one was telling a rumor about you except the person who told you there was a rumor going on about you, when you find out the truth of a situation that is upsetting to you, then your feelings can change. You're no longer mad at your friend because you find out, well, actually, they didn't talk crap about you, right? That's the same situation here. This feeling of being separate from the universe is based on a similar lie. And having or believing the lie that you're separate from the universe gives rise to the need to overthink everything. And it gives rise to the need to measure and compare everything and to make sure you're safe. But once you unravel that fundamental lie and get your body to recognize that you are a part of the universe, that you're already a part of the whole. I mean, you're here, you can touch it. And, it's true on so many levels that we're just not going to get into all of them today, but you're here. And so we all are. You are a part of it. I mean, intellectually, you can totally get that you're physically part of this physical whole. And that's the only level we need to talk about today. Intellectually, you can get that, but then there's a feeling in our body of being separate. And that feeling in our body of being separate is based on an old lie. And once you discover the truth that lie is masking, that feeling of being separate goes away. And all you feel is this wholeness. And I'm talking about like, hey, I'm part of the physical universe, that kind of wholeness. That is the purpose of the freshman semester at my school, the YBNL, or Your Body Never Lies College, which you'll find at the YBNLcollege.com. Oh, when we get over that lie and become connected and part of the universe, we never were actually separated, but once we start feeling it again, feeling that we are connected and a part of this whole, the mind tends to quiet down. It doesn't need to look for safety all the time. And you start to feel information coming from that connection. So being here now truly is the key. being means not doing things in exchange, but rather simply being loving, because loving is the core of who you are. So just be yourself. Here means within your personal space and even where you can see and interact with. It doesn't mean getting on your phone and texting a friend 1,000 miles away while a group of people in your personal space are trying to communicate with you, right? That's being somewhere else now. So being here now means interacting with your environment and the people within it. And now means in this moment without reference to the past. And that particular chasm gets addressed in the 200 level of the YBNL college. Being and doing also gets addressed in the first class, actually, of the 200 level of the college. But the concept of time and of being here now as a whole gets more addressed in the 200 level of the sophomore semester of the YBNL college. So I hope that clears up any confusion that anybody may have had about being here now. I can talk about being and doing a little bit more, because I did say I would. So being, when we talk about simply being, we're talking about, on one hand, stillness. And on the other hand, we're talking about taking action is also being. Being or not being has little to do with what is happening with your body, and has everything to do with what's happening up in your mind. Doing, when we're doing something, we're doing it for a result. We're doing it for, we're doing it for a result, for some effect further out in time, or for an effect right now, or maybe for an effect in the past. If I am doing that thing called gardening, then I'm gonna, do gardening. I'm gonna put on my gardening clothes and get my gardening tools, and I'm gonna go see what I feel like doing, and I'm gonna do it. And I might wonder if the neighbor can see what a great gardener I am, and I'm gonna wonder, if my friends will notice what a great gardener I am. I'm gonna think about how great my garden's gonna look in a couple weeks. This is all doing gardening, and it actually just holds people hostage. Like your neighbor's thinking, oh, look, he's working in the garden again. He's probably going to want me to tell him how great it looks. Maybe. Doing gardening is not present, and it might be here, but it isn't now. Doing gardening is looking for a benefit in the future, whether that is, kudos from the neighbor or your friends, or if it's just having beautiful plants in your yard. If you're doing that, landscaping, that is a lot different than being here now. Now, if I am simply being a gardener, I don't care what clothes I'm wearing. I'm simply walking through the garden, and when I look at a plant over here, I feel thirsty in my body. So I notice that I'm feeling thirsty, so I give that plant water because that's where my attention was. And then over here, I might feel hungry, and so I realize I've got to give this plant, some fertilizer. Being here now means noticing the obvious. And noticing the obvious means feeling our body. I talked before about the chasm between thinking and feeling. That's also the chasm between doing and being. Because doing and thinking are both high energy activities. They're all energy out. We're trying to label the world or get the world to look a certain way for us or for someone else. But being, we're taking information in. It's very low energy. It doesn't matter to us what my neighbor thinks about that plant, right? What matters is the plant's thirsty, and so I'm giving it water. My perspective is an empathy. It's an empathy for the plant that I'm working on. It's not thinking about what someone else is going to think about my garden in the future, right? And right there is, I think, a great example of the difference between being here now versus doing here then. And most of us are stuck doing here then. It's um, not the way life has to be. And in fact, you can be more yourself and enjoy life a lot more when you learn to be here now. And that is what the YBNL College is about, at least at the 100 level to some degree. And hope you join me. If you have any questions, you can post them on chat here, or if this is no longer live, if you're replaying it, then come to the ybnlcollege.com or yourbodyneverlies.org, and you can get some more information, find out more about this online training program, and see what it can do for you. I see off the top of my head, I can't think of anything to add to it, and I really don't like lecturing. I need a question. And we'll just look if there's anybody here today, right now anyhow. So we'll call it a day. If you have any questions about being here now, if you want to revisit this topic, or if you want to comment on it, or if I triggered you in some way and you want to vent, that's okay too. Tune in next Saturday, 10 a.m. Your Body Never Lies Saturday mornings. I plan to be here every Saturday. And we'll just see if we can, get some people unstuck and start start being more joyful and loving. All right. Thanks a lot. Have a great weekend. And I hope to see you again.